It is I, the barbarian dung collector, here to bedazzle your mind with tips, tricks, concepts, knowledges, ideas, vague descriptions of things that are coming out of my mouth. And today, I want to explain the difference between role playing and acting. Because recently I was rewatching some Black Lodge games. Those guys are fucking great. And I was doing cardio and I was listening to their video talking about some of the guys who were like, why do you role play? And I could not possibly make the argument against that better than they did, against what they called the race to the bottom. They said it better than I possibly could have. So I highly recommend you go check out their videos and whatnot. But they made a specific reference to the idea that role playing isn't acting. It's not the same thing. They said it was misattributed to role playing, that it is acting, and that's something I've always felt, uh, um, like personally, but I hadn't really thought to like sort of say it out loud. Like it wasn't like I heard that and I'm like, oh my god, this is a new idea. It was more like, oh yeah, yeah. I guess I've always thought that, but never had those words to put to it. That it's not the exact same thing. Obviously, there are similarities, but I wasn't sure why, and so I went through the process of thinking about how it's different, why it's different, um, and they gave a pretty solid, but somewhat basic reason, and their sort of basic level reason is that acting is a performance where you study the text and you rehearse, and you get really good at the text to the point where you don't necessarily need to think about it, but you still, most of the time, know what's going on. You're reading from a script. You're acting out something that someone else has decided for you that you will be acting out. Whereas role playing is an experience where you don't know what's going to happen next. You don't know what you're going to do next. People haven't decided things for you. There's not necessarily a plot or story beats. You're just reacting as your character would react and acting in the moment. Um, but I would like to go deeper because I want to explain why those things are different, why it's not just a cursory difference, um, and why what we are doing is a superior form of entertainment to, say, improvisational acting. Or I should say a superior form a superior form of entertainment. I would say improvisational acting is maybe a superior form of art, but definitely entertainment wise, role playing is objectively better. And I'm gonna explain a little bit how, and I'm gonna explain in more detail what the difference is. Um, so first of all, delving into that. What does it mean to not know what's going to happen next? To not sort of be following a script that someone else has written? Well, it means that you're participating, and that's something they mentioned. You're a participant, but when you're acting, you're participating, but you're participating in a different way in role playing. You're not playing a character in a story, you're playing a guy in a world, albeit altered by genre. But you're playing a dude or a chick, going out in the world and reacting to stimuli. That's the thing about role playing; it's extremely reactive, and because of that, it is heavily reliant on enthusiasm and empathy, and not particularly reliant on talent, which makes it extremely accessible. I have met really, really good role players who are just terrible actors, but they're good role players because they're enthusiastically putting themselves into every scene and they're being empathetic. They're actually like, what would this um, uh, priest of, say, what would this Farum priestess of Lacedarnia do in this situation? I know what I would do, but what would she do? And then I'll put myself in her shoes and I'll say I and me when I'm talking about her, even though I'm not crazy. I know I'm not her, but I'm going to say that to have that empathy to understand what she would be doing in these situations, and empathy for the other players, sort of what aspects of their character do they really want me to touch on? What can I say and do? And then enthusiasm for the scene to really be a part of it and not be a wallflower, which is the worst thing you can be in role playing. And that doesn't mean you have to play high charisma characters. You can be a low charisma motherfucker and be hey guys, and be like the most out there in your face guy. Yeah, we just killed a dragon. It was a lot of fun. We fucked that bitch up. Hey. Are you listening? Are you listening? Low charisma character. There you go. Who's up front? Don't be a wallflower. Don't be the guy who sits back there like, yeah, no. Oh, I say hello to the bartender. Yeah, fuck that shit, bitch. No, you got to be enthusiastic and empathetic, and talent doesn't matter. It's a fun tool to have. It's a little spice you can add to the game, but it doesn't. It's not required, and it is required for acting. If you watch a movie and the acting is bad, the movie might still be kind of funny, but like if the actors are bad, that's a huge aspect of the movie that you've now lost. But you don't lose anything from bad acting and role playing. If my ogre is sorry, my let's say Calfar merchant, he speaks like this, and he says, "Why, yes, look at my wares. Are they not exquisite? Should you not pay a great deal of money for them?" That's a ridiculous accent, and that's overacting, sure, but it's enthusiastic, and the character would obviously want to sell his shit, would obviously want to charge you a high amount for it, and overacting is always better than underacting in role playing. It's always, 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 always better. Um, so keep that in mind. Uh, Now, there's a few further aspects to it. First of all, acting is a job. It is, or it may be a hobby, but it is very certainly not a game. Now, when the Black Lodge Games talks about role playing is not a game in the sense that they would usually use, I actually do disagree with them. I think role playing is very much just a game. It's not a I think it can produce high art, but it is not in itself high art. It's not it's not this sort of more pretentious out there thing. It's only a game. But The only way to play that game correctly is to role play and to role play your very hardest. You know what else is just a game? StarCraft 2 is just a game. But if you go into StarCraft 2 and try to play a first person shooter, you're either not playing any game at all, or if you're using an absurd amount of mods and hacks, you're not playing StarCraft 2, right? So yeah, it's just a game, but the way you do it is role play as hard as you can. And what that means, a big difference between acting and role playing, and this goes with no talent is necessary, it's that there's no pressure. So when you act, there's always pressure. If you do something incorrect in acting, you fucked up. You fucked up. You fucked up. But if you role play and you slip up and you do something that in the moment you felt was in character, but oh, actually, that probably wasn't the thing that your character would have done in that moment. Who fucking cares? Who cares? You were being in character to the best of your ability. You were role playing. You were having fun. So there's no pressure, right? If my ogre barbarian starts acting particularly romantic, I keep accidentally slipping in these romantic and thoughtful moments instead of going, oh, fuck, he wouldn't have done that. I can go, well, I can start implementing this. That would be kind of fun. There, I've got another dimension that I can add to the character from that slip up. Now, obviously, if I'm not saying be one of those guys who says they're role playing because they're doing voices and they're acting or whatever, and they're playing a character, but it's extremely inconsistent. Consistency does matter, but if you're making a regular and constant effort to be consistent, all I'm saying is that momentary failures and slip ups are no big deal as long as you're making that regular effort to be consistent. Another difference between role playing and acting is role playing is far more similar to two other common, I guess, theatrical tropes. I wouldn't use that term, but that's the best thing I can think of, than acting. It is more common to pro wrestling and make believe. And I'll explain why after I drink this water. So, I'll start with pro wrestling. Because of how reactive role playing is, and because of how much it depends on chance, and because of how much it relies on people playing characters with higher social, mental, and physical stats than the players, selling and suspension of disbelief is required to have fun. Actors don't need to do suspension of disbelief. When you're watching a movie, you do, because you very much are in the position of knowing it's fake as shit. When actors act, obviously most actors aren't insane lunatics and they know what they're doing isn't real, but they really firmly get in the mindset that it is. It's impossible to do that when you're sitting around at a table, rolling dice, unless you're a insane person. Unless you're extremely detached from reality, then maybe you can kind of get into a mindset that it's truly real. But if you're that crazy, please seek help and don't play role-playing games. So, you need suspension of disbelief. And suspension of disbelief, uh, succinctly summarized, is the agreement to act like it's all real and to enjoy it as if it's all real, even though you constantly know for a fact that it absolutely isn't. Because I don't have 14 intelligence. I'm not that smart. I'm incapable of making certain decisions that someone with a 300 IQ would be capable of making. But because I want to play that character, we're gonna make it happen. Maybe the GM gives me some extra information. Maybe I'm allowed to use sort of bring in player knowledge and have my character know those things. Maybe I'm given a little bit more time to think of something and to figure out what my character's going to do. Maybe take 10 minutes to make that decision. And then in game, that was a decision that was made like that, or a conclusion that was come to like that. So, or high presence, I like to think I probably have a 9 or 10 presence. That's probably a little bit arrogant of me, but most scenarios I have been in as an adult, not necessarily when I was younger, I have been particularly well liked and thought about by people. Even when they dislike me, I'm on their mind. Again, I feel like a huge dick saying that, but I do think I'm charismatic. Uh, um, so by D&D standards, maybe 14 charisma. Uh, um, but I'm playing characters with much higher charisma, baby. I'm playing that 12 presence human priest of Pelgan, ready to beat that ass and fuck them hoes and just you know. And so we have to have that suspension of disbelief there too, to play it up, to maybe be like, okay, what he said was actually kind of goofy, but he was really trying to play up that charisma aspect. So I'm gonna let it slide. I know he was really trying to come across as charismatic as his character. So I'll suspend that disbelief. I'll pretend that this fucking nerd with stubble and a Jewfro, even though he's not even Jewish, saying, "That's right, Jack, you." I'm gonna pretend that that's actually intimidating, because it's supposed to be, and he is trying. Uh, um, so the other end, where it's like pro wrestling, is selling. Selling is extremely important, and this plays into how role playing is a game. You're not role playing for an audience. It's a game because you're doing it for yourself and the other participants, meaning it's about getting them having fun. It's about upping their energy. It's about responding to what they do and making it more fun for them. And so you sell when you have the big strong character, play it up. Play it up. Don't try to jump in and be like, hey, actually I'm strong too. No, I did the strength thing. I did the strength thing. Be like, Krog, can you lift this great stone? Or the the kind of nerdy character, be looking to them, Frizul, can you explain what exactly is going on with these strange occult sigils? And then as they're explaining it, you're like, like, holy shit, how does he know this shit? Play it up, like. and sell for people's bad traits too. When Krog is like, uh, I think that big rock fell off of a mountain, and I'd be like, fucking dumbass, Jesus Christ. Yeah, okay, Krog. Yeah, it fell down from a mountain. Fucking prairie. Like, or you're, that nerdy character, he trips and, oh, my arm, pussy, playing up playing up their negative traits and their positive traits, both, because that's what players, when players give their characters stats and they give them traits, when they do that, what good role players are hoping for is they're thinking, man, I sure hope the other players notice this and think this shit is interesting. I sure hope the other players notice how fucking badass and strong my ogre is. I sure hope they notice what a bumbling dumbass he is. And so you sell. So you give to that. You don't sell in acting. Now, I'm not saying there are never moments in acting that may sort of unintentionally roll into the area of selling, but when you're acting, it's never about what does the other actor really, really want? How can I excite them and build up on things and get things to escalate? Because you're not necessarily trying to escalate the fun for the other actors, because it's not for them. You are trying to portray your character in the most realistic way possible. And a lot of characters in movies are, for better or for worse, I think oftentimes for better, but also oftentimes for worse, are no sellers, or are cold-hearted figures, or are the singular protagonist, and it's just selling doesn't make sense. Fucking Thanos is gonna no sell for all the characters. But even if you're an antagonist in a role-playing game, you're the GM and you have an antagonist and he's supposed to be badass on the level of Thanos, you should still find a way for him to sell for the characters, even if it might not necessarily be realistic, which is we're segueing now into make believe, into play pretend, in that role playing is about immersion, but it's not about realism. And do you know the difference between immersion and realism is the difference between drawing a picture yourself and really enjoying the act of creating that art and looking at a really realistic art piece. They seem like they would be vaguely similar, but they actually produce very different results. Realism produces a feeling of understanding what you're looking at and seeing how you could find such a thing in the world. A realistic painting of an apple is interesting because it looks like an apple. And you can say, that obviously took some talent. That guy practiced his art. That painting, not a photograph, that painting actually straight up looks like an apple. Immersion is like drawing yourself and having a lot of fun drawing. You're probably not great at it. I'm not great at drawing. I want to get back into drawing. I used to draw a lot when I was younger, but I want to get back into it. But I always enjoyed it because I always had an idea in my mind and I wanted to put that idea out there. And that is very similar to the feeling of make believe and play pretend. When kids are pretending to be Superman and Batman, they know they're not Superman and Batman. But the point is, a little part of them kind of wants to be, and the idea of in that moment sort of playing as Superman, it's exhilarating. It's not, oh gee whiz, I really am Superman. Isn't that interesting? I'm just like him. I'm literally like the character. No, it's like, wow, ooh, I use laser beams. Yeah, and I punch through the stone wall. Not today, Lex Luthor. That's probably not how Superman sounds or acts or whatever. It's maybe not realistic, but when you're a little kid and you're doing that, you feel like you're in it. You feel like you're in this action scene. You feel like a superhero. Woo, by God! Uh, um, and so that's what immersion is, and that's why you got to think about make believe and play pretend. And there's other ways that it's similar. Role playing, again, coming back to the idea that it's a game, isn't just the straightforward aspects of acting. It's also helping people. It's entertaining people. And I don't mean in the therapy way. I mean helping your friends to role play. In make believe, sometimes, the other kid goes like, wait, where's that character from again? And you go, oh, yeah, he's from, the movie where Superman fights the tentacle alien. Oh yeah, I know. You can't do that. If they did that in the middle of a movie, you'd be like, what the fuck? But you can do that in a role-playing game. You can go, wait, I'm sorry, dude. I blanked on the Ember's name. I'm really sorry. Oh yeah, it's Gorlox. Oh, okay, sweet. Listen here, Gorlox, you gay cunt. And you can get engaged in that and ask questions and sort of interact with each other in that way. And it's also play. Acting is not play. Role playing is play. You're trying things. You're putting yourself out there. You're jumping into something and just doing what you want to do, not what a script wants you to do. So make believe, play pretend. When you're role playing, I highly recommend you look to these things. Anyone who tells you that being an adult and being interested in make believe and play pretend is a cynical little bitch. Just a little fucking bitch. Now, yeah, I don't think you should go around doing it in the same way that children do it, but make believe and play pretend, which is what acting is when you get right down to the core to it, is the most optimistic, joyful type of play you can do. It's earnest, it's expressive, it only requires enthusiasm. And we come back to that. Those are the key aspects of role playing, not talent, not intellect, not skill, not experience. The two key aspects of role playing, empathy and enthusiasm, the two E's. It is the acronym I like to call E: enthusiasm and empathy. And I will take the most enthusiastic, empathetic role player who cannot act, who is, not disabled. That might be a little too far. It might not be fun to role play with him. No offense, but dumb, fucking dumb. So he can act. He's fucking dumb. He's never role played in his life before, and he's got no fucking skill at this. But he's extremely enthusiastic about role playing, and he's very empathetic. I will take that over the fucking incredible actor, 140 IQ, been role playing for 20 years, immensely skillful, but he's kind of apathetic and he really doesn't give a fuck about anyone. or anything. That guy can fuck right off, and he can go be a fucking film critic for all I care. The worst job in the world, complaining that you didn't like something, you stupid bitch. Film critics can swivel on my cock. But not really. I'm just kidding. Some film critics put out some cool work. But it's that enthusiasm and that empathy that matters. And I know I sound like a broken record now, but I'm going to keep saying it. Enthusiasm, empathy, enthusiasm, empathy, enthusiasm, motherfucking empathy. And so there's sort of one final area I want to touch on, and there's way more I could go into, but I realize I'm getting a little bit repetitive, and the video's gone on for about 30 minutes. So I'm just going to touch on one more thing, which is that role playing involves chance, statistics, and gaminess. And I don't believe role-playing games should ever be reduced to gaminess. The Bro SR losers, the race to the bottom pieces of shit who just, I hit him with my +1 longsword. He takes 6 damage. I cast Intimidating Shout. Okay, it's your turn, Bartholomew. All right, I throw a fireball. Let's see. Let me roll. Oh, actually, I get a reroll on that. Okay, that's 2 damage. Like that. That sucks. But the opposite also sucks. Of let's just role play, dude. No, I want to see what happens. I want to roll the dice. I want to put it up to chance. I want unrealistic outcomes to occur occasionally. I want my master swordsman to miss. I want my bitch ass cowardly Hitman to go, oh shit, and manage to stick you in the piece. Because that's exciting. Things could happen differently. That not everything is guaranteed to happen a certain way. That you don't have full control. That you don't know what's going to go on. That nobody has control. That there's chance that things could happen differently. Your characters could run into a ridiculously hard encounter and win and come out, yes, because they had those stats, because they had that strength, because they got those incredible rolls and they role played it. They role played the whole thing. They were outmatched. The NPCs were higher level, had higher stats, but damn, they rolled clean. And they say, yeah, that big ogre, he grabbed me, and I managed to get my dagger and just, ha, in the neck. Or vice versa. They walk into a kind of easy encounter, some bandits, they get some bad rolls, they slip in the mud, they get fucked up by some bandits. And yeah, the players are probably going to be a little sore, a little like, you got to be fucking kidding me, dude. But if they're good players, they'll have fun with that. They'll say, yeah, my badass warrior, no. Yeah, I go in with my sword and, oh shit, fuck. I trip on a root, drop my sword, oh fuck, get up. But that fucking ogre bandit kicked me in the cheek as I roll on the ground. Oh, fuck. And I stand up, fucking, oh, I shit myself. Oh shit, fuck, slip in the mud. Meanwhile, that master archer, he fucking notches his bow. Sunlight gets in his eyes. Oh fuck, fires it off, misses. Fucking human bandit comes in with the club and knocks him out. So, it's exciting, and you don't have that with acting. Things can only happen the way they're going to happen in acting. In role playing, anything can happen. And that's just how it is, baby. Anyway, thank you for watching the video. I'm out here repping the great Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's right. And you should be expecting videos on Cinder, Agalma, Aste, Cassider very soon, baby. The Barbarian Dung Collector. The poop train does not stop. Anyway, everyone, have a good day.